Joining me from London is Patrick Christys, star presenter of GB News. Great to see you again, Patrick. Good show last night, by the way. I watched this morning our time. I enjoyed it a lot. But this report, white Britons will be a minority of the population in Britain in 40 years. Is that a so what story over there or something more?
Well, this story is much more than just skin deep. You cannot have a successful country if you have no sense of shared national identity, culture, and history. Now, let me give you a very stark example, Andrew. Right now, here in Britain, we are importing and employing low-skilled migrants to act as security guards at hotels full of illegal migrants. Now, I think most people would think that's bonkers, but that's where Great Britain is. And it used to be the envy of the world. I worry, many people worry, that Great Britain is now being reduced to nothing more than a plot of land where anyone from all over the world can reside. And I'm not sure what you or your viewers might think. I suspect that many of them might think that simply having an Australian passport doesn't make you Australian. Obviously, if you're born there, then it does, don't get me wrong. But that's how I feel about Britain. We're seeing rapid cultural changes. You've got according to these stats, if they are indeed accurate, the Muslim population could be as high as 20% in Britain by the turn of the century. And I do look at parts of the Muslim world, and I do wonder why we would want to replicate that here in Britain. And if you're creating a country where 60 or 70% of people have an equal or even more significant alliance to a foreign land than to Great Britain, then I think that's a problem politically, societally, and economically as well.
Yeah, well, I think we're talking about an everywhere class or anywhere class. They can feel home anywhere they feel. They're more privileged, they're richer, and they don't care so much what happens to their own country as it turns from a hotel into a hotel instead of a home. I think that's the difference. People treating it as a hotel and call the management to get things fixed instead of their home. They own it and they've got to fix it themselves. Now, that Reform politician who was asking for a burqa ban, I don't like talk of banning burqas or dictating how people dress, but I also don't like how the burqa is a barrier to integration. In fact, in a way, that's what it is for, keeping separate. How has this call gone down?
Well, I mean, she was scoffed at by the usual types, you know, those kind of metropolitan elites that we have in the House of Commons there. Realistically, Andrew, I don't think Britain will ever ban the burqa. I actually do think there would be riots and no doubt a lot of middle-class, well-meaning women would probably start wearing the burqa in solidarity, I think. However, there are obvious security risks to this. We did have the case of an al-Shabaab member who went into a London mosque without a burqa. He was a bloke, came out wearing a burqa and then went on the run. So that's a problem. It is a barrier to integration in all of the very obvious senses that you've already highlighted. Other European nations have banned it as well. You know, quite left-leaning European nations as well. I think Norway, I think Denmark, as well as France, probably being the prime example. So it's not really a far-right thing to want to ban the burqa. I think what it means now practically in Britain is if you are of a more fundamentalist Islamic view and you want to move to Europe, then Britain is probably your top destination, because there's lots of other European countries that would ban you or your wife from wearing that burqa. There is also, of course, a massive monumental women's rights issue here, isn't there? I accept that for some Muslim women, they will freely choose to wear that burqa. Okay. However, I think that people ignore the fact that I think a lot of them at times are either forced or put under huge pressure to. And we can see that anecdotally, can't we, from what's going on in places like Afghanistan and Iran. You know, is that not, frankly, a huge issue with women's rights? And if it is, then it becomes less about the state telling you what women should wear and maybe a bit more about doing some women a favour.
Assimilating to a culture, that's part of it.